The bag was plain cream tied with a satin ribbon. Inside, handmade napkins, ivory linen, floral embroidery stitched by my own hands. A piece of me in every thread, the kind of work my mother once taught me. The kind of quiet beauty Isa had grown up with, but never quite valued. I told myself she'd smile, even briefly, that when her fingers touched the cloth, she'd remember me, the woman who once spent nights sewing birthday banners, pressing dresses still warm with an iron, baking apricot scones that perfumed entire mornings. But when the door opened, her smile wasn't there. "Oh, Mom, you came." Her voice tightened like a bowstring dot inside. The room glowed with pale pink roses and crystal glasses, voices floating like champagne bubbles. A woman in a sharp white pantsuit snapped orders at the florist in the back. Every face flicked toward me for a heartbeat, then away. As if I had brought an unwelcome shadow, Isa touched my elbow. Her expression composed, her bun sleek, her lips painted neutral perfection. And then I saw them dangling from her ears. My mother's pearl drops, heirlooms I had lent her for a college formal, whispering then, "One day, they'll be yours." She leaned close, her voice almost kind. "You didn't have to come. I was invited," I said softly. Her hesitation lasted only a moment. "Actually, you weren't." She explained it carefully, like one explains business to a stranger. The aesthetic was modern, elegant, curated. My presence, she admitted, didn't quite fit. She didn't call me an embarrassment, but I felt the word anyway, heavy and unspoken. I glanced down at my clothes gray slacks. A pressed blouse with pearl buttons. Neutral, safe, still. Not enough. I returned to the table, lifted the gift bag, and walked out. She didn't follow. My hands, surprisingly, were steady dot at home. Silence wrapped around me like a second skin. Only the faint crinkle of ribbon on the passenger seat seemed alive. The old walnut chest in the corner caught my eye. Isa's throne once. She used to perch on it with sticky jelly hands, clapping for imaginary crowds. I knelt, opening the hidden drawer that muscle memory knew too well. Inside lay the pieces of history ivory combs, a lace wedding tablecloth, gloves from 1936 faintly perfumed with lilac sachets. My mother's, my grandmother's, entrusted to me. Asa had once admired them, once begged to wear them at her future wedding. But admiration doesn't last. Promises dissolved by nightfall. I had sorted everything into boxes. 5 in total, labeled neatly. No sentiment, just fact. I drafted an email to Leona, an antiques dealer I trusted. Parting with a few heirlooms. Excellent condition. Still interested? I hovered. Then clicked send.legacy. I thought, isn't about what you leave behind. It's about what you refuse to surrender. The following week felt like walking through invisible fractures. Coffee. Marcy's cheerful voice cut me open without meaning to. I saw Isa's Pinterest board. All vintage lace, pressed florals, heirloom themed. Sounds very you, doesn't it? I smiled, folded my napkin tighter than necessary, excused myself before the sting broke skin. At the hardware store, Grant smirked. "Still driving that Buick? Charming, quaint, like a doily. Like a relic admired but not invited." Isa must have learned from him when she decided I was off-brand. Too textured, not glossy enough. At home, I erased her bridal shower from my calendar. The square looked strangely clean. When Leona arrived. She moved through my dining room reverently, touching each heirloom like sacred relics. The ivory combs made her gasp. The lace tablecloth silenced her. The gloves brought an offer that doubled her estimate. I signed the papers with steady hands. She packed them with careful tissue layers and soft cloth wraps. And when she left, the house felt emptier but lighter. The silver lily brooch, though, stayed with me, pinned quietly to my cardigan. A reminder, not everything can be erased. That evening, Isa's voice shattered the quiet. Where are the gloves? The veil, Nana's runner, sold her silence stretched until it snapped. You had no right. I had every right, I told her. Tom. Even they were entrusted to me. Not you, and certainly not for a wedding I wasn't welcome at. She hung up. Later, Grant texted, You've made this difficult. Isa's devastated. I replied, She survive. She always does. The wedding unraveled in whispers. Vendors backed out. Photographers refused to shoot fiction. The theme collapsed. In town, I overheard the truth spreading. They said the wedding was a tribute to you, that the heirlooms were your legacy. I stirred cream into my coffee. I revoked it. This unraveling is the heart of what I share in stories like these. They aren't simply family dramas. They're the psychology of pride, silence, and belonging. And if you're still here, holding your breath, know this. You're inside shattered bonds. Subscribe. And you'll understand why these stories cut so deep. On the wedding day, I didn't go. I sat at the ocean instead, coffee in hand, sand curling around my shoes. Clara joined me with her paper bag of pastries. She didn't ask questions, just handed me one. Not going. She asked finally. I already gave them everything they wanted, I said, but not everything they assumed they'd get. We watched seagulls dip and fail. Waves roll in and out, timeless and unbothered. I used to think legacy was what you left behind, I whispered. Turns out it's what you refuse to give away. Online, the wedding photos appeared. White roses, beige linens, tight smiles. Comments quickly followed. Where's the heirloom veil? Didn't you say your mom was part of this? Within hours, Isa disabled comments. Later, she came. No knock, just the crunch of gravel, the creak of the gate. She stood in her pale trench coat, looking smaller than she ever had. She entered without a word, her eyes scanning the familiar house like it was foreign land. Then her gaze landed on me, or rather, the silver lily brooch glinting on my blouse. That was supposed to be mine, she whispered. No, I said. It was always meant for the woman who remembered where it came from. She didn't argue. She only sat, her fingers tracing the coffee table's grain like a language she once knew. The silence stretched, not heavy, not waiting. Just silence. For the first time, humility flickered in her face. Not apology. Not pride. Something quieter. Something almost human. And maybe that's the truth of legacy. Not the lace, not the pearls, not the wedding themes, but the quiet reckoning that comes after. The moments when silence does what words cannot. That is the story Isa will carry, whether she wants it or not, and that if you've read this far. If your chest is tight and your thoughts won't let goose the kind of truth we explore in Shattered Bonds, subscribe. Because some stories don't end in forgiveness. They end in clarity.